Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Tina, and these are the 12 books that I finished in October. October is my favorite month of the year. I'm an October baby. My birthday is the 29th, so I just had it last week. And of course, we have Halloween. The weather in Chicagoland is fantastic in October. There's all the fall activities you could possibly want. So October is usually a great month for me, and it was this year. Reading wise, quantity, I did well. I've been reading a lot, sort of keeping pace. I want to read 150 books for the year, and I'm actually ahead a little bit. Quality for October was lower for me than I would like, and I will share my stats here from the story graph. Like I said, I finished 12 books, and it was 3,288 pages, but my average rating was only 3.65, and I think I know why that is. I read a couple of books that I just didn't care for, and they were surprises to me because I thought I would love them. Everybody talks highly of these books, and they were just not for me for very specific reasons, which I will get into. I also did not have any 5-star reads for the month, which is a bummer. I had some that were close, but no full 5-star reads. I also had more literary books this month than I typically do, and for whatever reason, that is how it goes. Usually end of October into November, I find myself wanting a little bit more literary stuff because I've sort of binged the thriller and horrors earlier in the year in end of August and September. So by this time, I'm typically ready to move on to something with a little more heft to it, which I did do this month. And 100% of the books that I read were fiction. I also have a pretty good amount of empties to share with you today. We'll get into that at the end of the video. I keep wondering, am I going to run out of empties? But apparently I go through more products than I think. So we will get into that in the end, but let's talk books first. I will start with my least favorite book of the month, and it is Writers and Lovers by Lily King. This book is one that I initially picked up in 2020 when it came out, and I DNF'd it. It was a book of the month pick, and it was a read with Jenna pick. And for whatever reason back then, I was just like, I don't care for this writing style. And I grabbed it again and gave it another shot because we picked Heart the Lover by Lily King for our Book Talk, etc. community read this year. We just had that discussion this week as well. And I had heard one of our patrons said that it would be really beneficial to read Writers and Lovers before you read Heart the Lover. And you don't have to. The publisher doesn't make it very clear, but the books are connected. I see the connection pretty clearly. Though, some of our patrons did not read Writers and Lovers before Heart the Lover, and they liked it a lot, and they didn't miss out on anything, or they didn't feel like they were missing anything. But I think these books make sense when paired together. That said, I gave Writers and Lovers 2 stars, and I think that at the end of the day, this author's writing is just not for me, and that is okay. This one is about Casey. She is a student freshly out of undergrad, roughly. She had gone to Duke, and you find out she had a time there, and for reasons you come to find out in the story, her life is not going the way she had hoped. And so now she's working in a restaurant, and she's in the restaurant industry in the thick of things and has aspirations of being an author. So she writes in the morning, and then at night she waits tables. And this is not good enough for her father, who's pretty overbearing and gross. And he actually doesn't play a huge role in this story. The person that does is her mom, and her mom recently passed away, so she's really going through it. And this book also has a bit of a love triangle. I liked that Lily King took on that time in your life when you are really just in the thick of it. You are maybe not where you thought you would be. You're shortly after college, and you see your future, but like none of the pieces are in place for you to get there. I thought this was a little too pretentious for me. And, the writing is solid, and I know a lot of people love it. I just didn't like it, frankly. She also deals a lot with medical anxiety and debt, and those are 2 things I do not like to read about. So right away, I was like, I think I was correct in my wanting to read this. It is a complicated love story, and if you like love triangles, maybe you'll like it more than I did. But like I said, I gave this one 2 stars. I went in with a good attitude for Heart the Lover because I wasn't exactly sure how they would be connected. I thought it would be a passing connection. And I'm not going to say how they are connected right here, but they are pretty significantly connected. In this one, you're following Jordan, and Jordan also has a love triangle, and she is an author, and she has found some success, but things are going well for her, and then somebody from her past sort of reappears, and you come to find out what these 2 meant to each other and what they're going to do about their relationship now in present day. This one's a novel in 3 parts. Part 1 read similar to Writers and Lovers for me, in that you're in undergrad with them and it's these folks that think the world centers on them. I didn't like any of the characters. Actually, one was fine, but like there's another love triangle in this one and I was like, oh, here we go. And maybe I don't love a love triangle. I think I do, but for whatever reason, neither one of these worked for me. So you get undergrad in the first chapter, and then in chapters 2 and 3, you're finding out what happens to them after university. This book's sad. This one, definitely look up content warnings. Again, it has one of the things that I do not like to read about. And there is a connection that's really personal to me in my life that I don't want to see on the page necessarily. Not because it's bad or shouldn't be written about. It just is not something I want to read in this stage of my life. Just not something that I prefer to read about. I was in the minority though. People loved this book and I am glad that they did. And if you read it and love it, that is awesome. Just, it wasn't for me and that's okay. Number 10 is Kill Your Darlings by Peter Swanson. I will link the vlog in which I read through this one and I liked it. It was a murder mystery told in reverse and you sort of know what it is that happens in the very beginning of the story. And then it works backwards to peel back the layers and really see what led this husband and wife and to do the things they do and for their relationship to devolve. Another one where I didn't like the characters. There is a lot of repetition because of the way it's told. It's told in reverse, but there's also small chapters and you're sort of hearing both sides of the story. I'm like, okay, I know they drink a lot. They party a lot. Like, I get it. I'm with you here. And it was fine for me. I gave this one 3 stars, although maybe that is generous, but that's where I landed. It was fine, but ultimately I think pretty missable. Next up is a little novella. It's actually so small. It's translated from German and it's You Should Have Left by Daniel Kellman and it's 111 pages. And I liked this very much. This one's about a screenwriter and his wife and child. They rent a home in the German mountains for a month or so because he's desperately trying to finish his work and it becomes difficult with family obligations and with children. And then he starts to realize that something odd is happening in the home. Then words start to appear in his notebook, and these are words that he did not write. So this one is a slow descent into madness. It is psychological horror. I liked it. I got into it rather quickly. I am not the biggest novella reader because what usually happens to me when I read a novella is I'm like, well, I want more of that. I want to know more, right? I do recommend this one. I enjoyed it. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I think it's a nice, quick little atmospheric read. If you like books about authors and if, again, you like psychological horror, I think you should give this one a shot. Next one is Several People Are Typing by Calvin Kasulki. This one is really different. This one I would almost call science fiction, and the entire thing is told via Slack. And if you're not familiar with what Slack is, it's basically what a lot of companies use as their internal messaging system, in essence. And there's different threads and things like that. So you're reading through all of these Slack messages. I liked this one. I thought it was very unique. I like that the author was able to get me to care about these characters, even though you really aren't hearing from them very closely or just reading their messages. I think it's funny. I think if you like office humor or workplace culture, you might enjoy this one. It's also a very fast read. I got through this one, gosh, in maybe a day or two. It's about 250 pages. And essentially what happens is Gerald, who's an employee of this firm, gets uploaded into the company's Slack system. And his colleagues think he's just using this as an excuse to work from home and abuse their work from home policy. And he's like, no, literally, I'm living in Slack and I can't get out. Sounds crazy. And it is, but it's really great. It's sort of funny. It's irreverent. It was a good break between some of the heavier books. I gave this one 3.75 stars. I'm interested, though, that it is a GMA book club pick because I don't know what all there is to discuss. I don't think it's like the most discussable thing I've read. I enjoyed one of the relationships in here very much. And I do, again, appreciate how unique this is. Next up is your favorite and mine. It's The Intruder by Frida McFadden. And I liked this one. This has dual point of view and it starts in a storm. It starts in a storm. And for this one, you're following this woman who lives in a remote house in the woods. She's pretty isolated. There's a big storm coming and she's not sure if her house will hold up. And then she sees that there's somebody in the backyard and it's a little girl and they're covered in blood and holding a knife. And so you are getting these dual point of views and figuring out how the two come together. I liked this one. I had a good time with it. It's more character driven, I think, than some of her books. And for that reason, it worked for me better than I think for others. I like how the two stories came together. This one had a little bit of YA element because you're following this younger person and the trauma that they're facing at home, which was definitely hard to read. But I like how the two came together. There were some good reveals, one of which I saw coming, but like nothing to make me not want to recommend it. I gave this one 3.75 stars. Next is one that I had no intention of reading, really, but it's called Seascraper. It's by Benjamin Wood, and this one was longlisted for the Booker Prize this year. I'm so literary. And it is about 20-year-old Thomas who lives in a slow, deliberate town in Londonderry, Northern England. And he sort of got into the family business as what's called a shanker. And what that means is he rides to the shore with his horse early every morning and spends his mornings scraping for shrimp and then sells them. And it's his day to day. Every day, his mom is a complicated character. She doesn't seem to want to do much for herself and can't see that her son is growing up and that maybe someday he will leave her, and she has no aspiration of helping him do that. So this boy, or this man, is pretty stuck in his town and he's not super happy about it. But then this man from America comes in and he's working on this movie, and he wants Thomas to, essentially he wants to hire him to help him make the movie a bit more authentic. Thomas has this desire to be a singer-songwriter or a folk singer, and this book is about exploring those things. This one, just like Writers and Lovers, takes on a similar time in a person's life where you're really in young adulthood and your whole life stretches before you, but how do you make the leap from now to where it is that you want to be? I really liked this one. I did the audio. I had a long drive and I did it over the course of one drive. I think it was 2 hours each way. So very quick on audio. What's fantastic about this is again, main character Thomas sings. He's a singer and he plays guitar. The audiobook, you'll see there's lyrics in here, has the audiobook narrator playing guitar and singing. He did a fantastic job. I had the song Seascraper in my head for literal weeks after reading this book or listening to this book. And the author is the one that does the audiobook narration. I think it was really good. I liked this one. It's atmospheric. And the reason I picked it up was because when the shortlist for the Booker came out, so many people were commenting, no, Seascraper. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is Seascraper? This actually is not out yet in the United States. It comes out early November. But I got a copy sent to me. So thank you to Scribner for sending it over. But I really liked this. I had a good experience with it. It put a smile on my face, and I'm very glad that I gave it a shot. I enjoyed it. I gave this one 4 stars. And man, I had a theme this month because next up is The Wilderness by Angela Flournoy. This is another book that is following characters in that early 20s into their 40s time in their life where their lives are ahead of them. But as they make more and more choices, their choices become limited. This one follows 5 friends, Desiree, Danielle, January, Monique, and Nakia. In the beginning, it's early 2000s. And they are navigating their careers, their lives in New York and LA together. And together they're finding their way through the wilderness. And the wilderness is that period of life when the reality of contemporary adulthood swoops in and stays, right? Because you're like, in the beginning, you don't have a ton of responsibilities. And of course, you get more and more. This one is really interesting in the way that it's told. And I almost DNF'd it because I was like, excuse me, hold on a minute. What are we following here? What are we doing? Because the beginning opens in 2008 and you're following one of the characters as she is heading to France with her ailing granddad, and you find out why they're headed there. And this thing that they're doing causes a big rift between her and her sister, who is one of the other characters. And then after that chapter, we're now 10 years later in 2018 and we're following January. So this book has a lot going on in that it has a lot of years that it spans, a lot of characters, and it's nonlinear. And for me, I was like, okay, are we going to be able to make it through? So I sort of decided, one, the audio was not for me. And I switched and got a print, had my print copy and started following along there, and that made it easier. And then I sort of started treating this like a group of short stories and interconnected stories. And once I did that, I enjoyed it very much. I think this book is very insightful. I loved reading through the characters. The characters I gravitated to more than others, particularly one of them becomes a mom, and all of those fun things that come along with childbirth and motherhood. And I could, that one resonated with me. The ending, though, is what really made this one. I mean, I was enjoying it fine, maybe 3.5 stars, but the ending, man, you will want to discuss it with somebody, because I was like, wait a minute, excuse me? Like, say again what just happened here. And then I think that's all I want to say. So if you do read The Wilderness and you want to talk to somebody about it, feel free to message me, because I enjoyed my reading experience and I wanted to discuss it with somebody. I do think this would make a good book club book, and I'm glad that I read it. I gave this one 4 stars. Next, I won't stay here long. You're going to be mad at me, because it's The Exorcist by William Paul Blatty. Again, I've linked the vlog in which I read this one, and look who it is. If you saw that vlog, you know who it is that scared the pants off me when I was reviewing this book, and she's back to creep me out. What is wrong with your lips? There she is. What is wrong with your lips?
Dripping because I had a ring pop.
Oh, you had a ring pop. Okay. So we all know what this book's about, right? It's about a little girl that gets possessed by a being and the priests that try and save her. What I liked a lot about this is that it's very scary. The jump scares are real, but I also very much appreciate that it's a motherhood story, because mom is one of the main characters in this one. And it really plays with the idea that the worst fears of a mom is something happening to their kids, right? And that's what you're definitely getting in this one. And I enjoyed it. I think it's well worth the read. Again, I recommend the audio, because the audiobook narrator was the author. He did a fantastic job. And I will go ahead and shelve this one back up here, so you all won't have to see her very often. Maybe until next year. If you need a break from the dark and twisty, might I recommend Life and Death and Giants by Ron Rindo. I'm not saying that this one's not sad, because this one is sad. This is an interesting story. It is about, it takes place in Lakota, Wisconsin, and it is about the community who is struggling to know what to do with this boy who is born, and he is a giant. He literally is. I thought this was going to be a metaphorical, sort of whimsical story, but he is a person, and I want to say he is born with acromegaly, which is a disorder that causes you to just keep growing, essentially. He ends up being something like 8 feet tall. The interesting part is he was raised by his brother for a while, and then his brother passes away. And so then he gets taken in by his grandparents, who are strict Amish individuals. And so he grows up into the Amish community, but he can't stay hidden for long, because at age 17, he's nearly 8 feet tall. He is spotted working in a hayfield by the local football coach, and his life changes forever. And this story is told by the people around Gabriel. It's really interesting, because you're reading about him from these different angles, from these different people. You're hearing from the football coach. You're hearing from his grandmother. You're hearing from, he had this really nice relationship with the local veterinarian. And this one's whimsical. This is contemporary fiction about ordinary people who are touched by the extraordinary. And it's about faith, it's about religion, it's about grief, and it's sort of reflective. I liked it very much. It's also got a lot of football in there. I'm a football fan, I'm a football girl, so I enjoy those aspects. Just know you don't stay there too long. You're not in the football field for the entire novel, although football does play a pretty big role in this book. This one's very character-driven, so if you like a character-driven story, then I think you will like this. Overall, I had a good time reading it. I'm very glad that I grabbed it. I ended up giving this 4.25 stars. Next is one that is such a me novel, but I don't think will be for everybody. It is Unraveling Oliver by Liz Nugent. And you know how sometimes there's just those authors that you just get them. Anything they write, you want to pick up. That is me and Liz Nugent. I loved her book Lying in Wait. Of course, I love Strange Sally Diamond. This one is an earlier one. I want to say this is actually her debut, if memory serves. And this is not a whodunit. It is a whydunit. The opening sentence I'm not going to read, but it's pretty intense. And this is a story about domestic abuse, centering on this man named Oliver. I think people don't like this one because it's billed as a psych thriller, and it's not a psychological thriller. I would call this more of a dark historical fiction story almost, because you are not in present day. I don't exactly know what year you're in, but you don't have cell phones yet. So it's sometime pre-cell phone era. And you are hearing about Oliver from the people that know him. Very interesting, because you also had that same sort of technique in Life and Death and Giants. You do get to hear from Oliver, though. And in the very beginning of the novel, Oliver has abused his wife, and she is in trouble. and he is the worst. So this story is really about the people that know him and their speculations as to what caused Oliver to do the things that he does. This one has his college friend Michael. It's got Barney, who is his wife's ex-boyfriend. It's got his mistress Moya with a point of view, and then Veronique, who's a French woman that he used to work for, who lost everything the summer that she employed him. I loved her point of view. That one was my favorite. And I just thought this one was so interesting. Just enjoy the ride. Really, it's just such an interesting story. I actually DNF'd this one initially 2 years ago, and I had DNF'd it because I thought we were going to have to hear from Oliver the whole time, and we're just following this terrible person. And yes, it centers on him, but it also centers on the people whose lives he affected, and they have really interesting things to say. I also enjoyed hearing about his wife Alice, who does not get a point of view in this one, but I felt for her, and I was very invested in her well-being. Liz Nugent is an author for me. I think this one would be a really good one to discuss with your book club if you guys like dark fiction. Overall, I gave it 4.5 stars. I liked it a lot. And finally, for books, my favorite of the month was The Great Man by Kyra Davis Laurie. This is a reimagining of The Great Gatsby, and it takes place in the Sugar Hill neighborhood set among LA's Black elite, and it starts in 1945. Charlie Trammell is your main character. He is a veteran. He's a young Black man that has just gotten back from fighting in World War II. He takes a train. His cousin has called him there, his cousin Marguerite, and he goes to essentially stay with her friends. So he ends up staying in the home of this famous actress, and his eyes get completely opened to a new way of life, one that he did not know was possible for Black people. This also then, of course, as you know, you might guess from The Great Gatsby, there is somebody called James Mann. Predictably, my phone died, so the audio is going to be different for this last half of the video. My apologies. I have to charge it. It's sitting on the charger. But as I was saying, how rude, The Great Man, you're following Charlie Trammell, and he makes acquaintance with James Reaper Mann. And he is called Reaper, that's his nickname, but his name is James Mann. He's a parallel to Gatsby in this novel, as you might have guessed from the title. Reaper throws these amazing parties. He's got a lot of liquor. He seems to have a lot of connections, and people in town, despite this man having fabulous wealth, they seem to not trust him because they feel like he is not like them. They feel like he's a little bit different from them, and so people don't trust him. But for whatever reason, Charlie gets pretty close to him, and they end up having this very interesting friendship. What I love about books like this is when they incorporate real historical figures into the text, which they do here. This also is in the background, has a court case going on, and the court case is where white homeowners were suing to enforce racially restricted covenant orders to evict Black residents. And they're basically saying like Black people cannot own property. And so they go to court in this, and this is a real case that happened in 1945, and I loved that. Don't Google it if you don't want spoilers, but I really, really enjoyed that. I imagine if you are a Gatsby purist, you might have a good time reading this. I love the author's note in the beginning, because you find out what encouraged the author to write this book. And she talks about how there is one paragraph in the entire story of The Great Gatsby that mentions Black people. And in it, they are driving around with a white chauffeur. And Gatsby is just like, wow, anything can happen now that we've slid over this bridge, anything at all. And the author says, to Fitzgerald, the idea of African Americans having wealth in a white driver was evidence of a world that has become so fantastical it has entered the arena of comical absurdity. It was just such a good story. I thought it was entertaining, it was funny, it was eye-opening, it was thought-provoking, and I really had a good time reading this. As it stands, I think I've rated it 4.5 stars. That might change the further away I get from it. It goes up or down. And I have a feeling the more that I think about this, it's going to go up. If you liked my recommendations of Dominion by Addie Kitchens and These Heathens by Mia Mackenzie, add this to your list. It will fit in with those novels really well. So those are the 12 books that I finished in October. And here are my empties. I'll start with one that, of course, you're in the skincare community. Actually, let me start with, I just had a birthday and I told the students that I teach my age, and they were like, drop that skincare routine. And I've never had a better compliment. So here are some of the skincare products that I like. Starting with Medicube. These are their Zero Pore Pad AHA BHA. And these got a lot of buzz online. They're fine. I don't know that I love them. I don't know that you need them. I don't know that my pores changed after using them, and I use them pretty, consistently. What I like is that all of them, they stayed wet the entire time. Almost recommend Polish Choice BHA. I'll put a picture of it here over this one. That one you have to use on a cotton pad, but I feel like it works better. These are fine, but I don't know that I'll repurchase it. Something I definitely have already repurchased is my Holy Hydration Makeup Melting Cleansing Balm by e.l.f. This is, you can see I'm wearing eye makeup, and I love eye makeup. I wear it a lot. This is how I get it all off. You just basically, there's nothing in here, but it's a balm, and you take a little scooper, you emulsify it, rub it on your eyes, you look wild for a moment, and then you get a wet washcloth and you just wash your face, and it just gets rid of everything. And it's a part of their Holy Hydration line, and I find that it really does moisturize. I don't feel like it dries me out. It does get in my eyes. That's okay. You're sort of like slurry for a moment when the oil is on your eye. It doesn't last very long, and it does not burn my eyes, which is really important to me. More skincare, we have Clinique Moisture Surge 100-hour auto replenishing hydrator. No, that is not true. I don't think this is that hydrating. It is a gel moisturizer. I like the texture. This is actually a sample I got from Ulta, I don't know, for my birthday, I think. And I used it in the month of October. I liked it fine. I will not be purchasing a larger one. I actually do not have a moisturizer that I love, that I'm like diehard for. So I'm on the hunt for one. If you have a moisturizer that you love, that's pretty gentle, I would love to know what it is, because I'm definitely still looking for my holy grail. This is one I had for a while that, again, I won't be repurchasing. It was the Drunk Elephant Bee Hydra Intensive Hydration Serum. It was fine. I liked it well enough, but the price of Drunk Elephant is like insane. There's no reason you need to spend this much. I think you can get it done for cheaper. Again, this was more gel texture. I don't find it really penetrated the skin all that well. I will not be repurchasing it, but it's an empty and I wanted to show you. This one I got because it is a dupe for the Laneige sleeping mask. It's the Clavu Nourishing Care Lip Sleeping Pack. I like this very much. I think it's pretty good. I think Laneige is better, but I don't think there's that much of a price differential between this and Laneige, so I don't think I would repurchase this. I would just get the Laneige one, which I've talked about before. I will link it below. I actually don't have any right now, so maybe it's time to repurchase it, because I don't think I have any. I think this was my last. Yeah, I think there's like a tiny bit left in here, so maybe I'll get more Laneige after recording this. Two more products. One is makeup. This one is the Maracuja Juicy Lip from Tarte, and I was like scraping the bottom of the barrel. I'm actually wearing this today. I just like my little pinky in there, which is probably gross, but what are you gonna do? I really like it. This is in the color Hibiscus. I like this stuff very much. It's expensive. And it's very jelly. It's very, very jelly and juicy, which is kind of nice, but I feel like it does slip around a little bit. I heard Tati, who's my favorite beauty influencer, or one of them, she had a good dupe for this in her recent dupes video. So I'm actually going to link her dupe video down below, and I'll write and link to the product that she said is a pretty good dupe, because I like the concept of this. I like the color so much, but I don't want to spend, I think it's like 24 or 26 bucks, and I think we can do better. We also have this. It's the IGK Good Behavior. This is a keratin-like treatment in a can, 24-hour frizz control. This stuff I had, oh my God, I just put it in my eye, sprayed it on my face. But I really liked this stuff, actually. It smells so good. And what you do with it is, if you have frizzy hair like I do, you put it on dry hair and as you're blow drying, and it's supposed to get rid of the frizz. I haven't repurchased it. I probably would if I had like a gift card, but again, this is a luxury product and I just don't know if you need it. Did I like it? Yes. Will I purchase it again? Who's to say? Lastly, I'm holding an empty box, but I do want to mention the Alcala deodorizing body wipes. If you are somebody that goes to the gym and needs like a wipe, you don't have time to shower or whatever the case may be, these were really good. They do a good job. I have repurchased them. I have to be honest. I used them because the deodorant I had wasn't working. My new deodorant is fantastic. I talked about it on the podcast as my loving lately. Let me go get it. It is the Wild Deodorant by Emma Bridgewater. This stuff, talk about smelling good. It smells incredible. I wish you could smell this. This is the honey, whatever one has honey in the name. It's so good. But this deodorant works so flippin' well. Literally 2 swipes on each side. That's all you need. And you don't smell. And when you do sweat, you just end up smelling this perfume. It's also a clean formula. And this is aluminum. So you can get refills. So I have refills that are on the way, and you don't need to buy the packaging. You just sort of refill it. And I'm not going to show you, but you just pull this out and refill it. And how cute is this? Immaculate. But anyway, I no longer really need these wipes for stinkiness because I have this really good deodorant, you know? Anyway, let's move on. That is it for today. Thank you so much for being here as always. I would love if you would leave me a comment down below and tell me what your favorite book that you read in October was. We are officially in holiday season. We're in November. That's crazy. I'm looking forward to the Goodreads Choice Awards. I really want to get this list. I want to know what thrillers I'm going to be reading because in the month of November, I plan on reading all of them. So I can't wait. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. What do you want to say?
Have a great Christmas.
Have a great Christmas. We'll see you in our next video.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next time. Bye, guys.